Hi, I've had a couple requests the last few weeks about checking out embroidery modules on the Bernina 165, 170, and 180 models. So I thought I'd make a video here to show you how to test your module, and I'll give you some tips in here, a few things that you can check out. I'm doing a little differently here. I took the plastic off the outside of this one to show you a few things that you can check. If you're ingenious here, you can probably get the top off. It's held on by 4 different screws. One screw for the embroidery module arm, and then there are 2 here that hold this front plastic on, which pulls out this way, and then there's one in the back, and these are held on with, if I can turn this around the right way here, T10 Torx head screws. Not much really goes wrong with these embroidery modules. They can get dirty in a couple critical places here though. This one's in nice shape and this is really clean in the inside. There's an optical sensor down here that senses when the module arm moves in the side-to-side motion, and there's another optical sensor up here that senses the movement of the hoop. If these would get packed up with dirt, dust, you could have some problems. So if you have a module and you've used it quite a bit over the years and all of a sudden it stopped working, it's probably the first thing to check. And make sure the belts aren't broken. You don't want the belts too tight. There's a belt down here and this belt here. So let's get right into checking the module. What you want to do is you want to put the machine in the service mode, and I'll show you how you do that. With the machine turned off, let me adjust my camera here a little bit. Hold in the clear button. Switch the machine on. The whole time the machine's booting up, you want to keep this clear button held in. This is going to take you into the service mode. One thing I can show you here, let me get something to point with here. Right here, this little clock symbol, that's how many hours are on the machine. 285. On these particular machines, if the circuit board was changed in the inside, those hours stay with the board. Unlike the newer machines that have a small IC chip in them that gets removed and stays with the machine to keep the hours for the machine. If a board was replaced or if a brand new board was put in the machine, it could show 0 hours. So this is not always an absolute indication of the hours of the machine. Just wanted to throw that in there for you. To check out the version of your machine, and I'll tell you why this is important here. This symbol right here, number 11, you touch on that. That's showing that this is a version 3.01. Now when it comes to matching up a module to the machine so they work together, both need to be version 3 then. You don't need to worry about what's after the point. It could be 0.01, 0.02. This, you can just call this basically a version 3 machine. Press the clear button. Back to the other screen. Now here's where we can check the module. Touch on the little embroidery module symbol. And here's your check for the version number of the embroidery module. Right here we have a version 3.00. Again, it's a version 3 module. So this module will work fine with this machine. If this was a version 4 module and you have a version 3 machine, they won't communicate with each other and it won't work. So keep this in mind if you're looking on eBay to get a module or something like that for your machine. The version numbers must match. And I won't get into right now how you can change this because it involves some older software that I do have, and you're not going to find very many people in the country that are even going to bother doing the update on these machines anymore. or maybe if this is a version 4 and this was a version 3, rolling the machine back to firmware version 3 so that they communicate with each other. It can be done. You might be lucky to find a dealer that can do that, but most don't help you with these machines anymore, and that's why I'm making these videos. So let's go back to the main screen. This is the main screen again for the embroidery module. Now we want to check the movements of the module. You press on this first icon here. Let it set itself there a little bit. Now, what it's going to do, it's just going to keep moving. And what you're looking for here are nice, smooth movements in both directions. Got your X and your Y axis. You want to make sure it moves smoothly side to side, and you want to make sure your hoop moves smoothly front to back. If you're not seeing nice smooth movements like this, or if it doesn't move at all when pressing this, then you have a problem and you might have to look elsewhere. Might require a new main board inside. Could be a couple different things, but this is what you should be seeing when you touch that, and that will stop it. These symbols right here will just move the arm once or the hoop once in one direction. This one, I believe, will just move it to the left and it will stay there, and it will stop. Okay, this I think moves the, it's been a while since I've done this, moves the bracket here for the embroidery hoop away from you, and it will stop. That's exactly what it's supposed to do. That is the one that will start the whole thing moving side to side, front to back. For your hoop here, to calibrate your hoop with a machine, we're putting on a large embroidery hoop, and we're going to test here by hitting the reference. This is to set your reference position. This is going to bring your large hoop to the center position. What you do now is you put on a hoop grid, and you're looking to see if the needle lines up with the hole in the center of the grid. And I'm pretty close. That's about as good as you're going to get here. If it doesn't, you can set it by moving the hoop one way or another to get it in a position where that hole is back in the center. Let's move it to the right a little bit, and there we go. And then we press escape to save your setting. You can also check your memory card slot. If you're fortunate enough to have one of these personal design cards, or if you have an embroidery design card, you can place that in the machine. And while I'm down here, I will mention that if your module has memory, unless the sticker has fallen off, there's usually a sticker that's here that will say memory inside, and it'll stay 2 megabytes or 4 megabytes. And that tells you that there's memory in here that you can save embroidery designs to the machine. The memory is actually not in the machine. It's on the circuit board for the embroidery module. Now, there's some right here, memory card. This is for your memory card interface. You're going to have to get the, let me take the hoop off of here. I'm trying to do this with one hand. Let's get it to move here and do a little something, and then once the module is activated here, it will detect whether there's a card in or not. Now it's detected the card. Let me stop the movements here. It's detected the card, and the little block OK has lit up. So that tells you that that's working. If you have a module that does not have memory, you need to find one of these personal design cards for a 180, and these are really hard to find. But you would put this in the module, and then this would become your memory. I have another video posted on getting these machines to work with a computer that has a USB connection, and all new computers have USB, because these machines do not have a USB connection. They use what's called a DB9 or a COM port connection. If you have an old Windows XP computer or something, that's great. You could use that computer just for doing embroidery with your 165, 170, or 180. My other video on YouTube, I show this USB serial adapter. These work. These are older models. The key with these is that you have to get the firmware from the manufacturer, from the strip light manufacturer, so that this works with your computer. That's the main key there, is to get this to have the right firmware / software in your computer so that this functions correctly. There are some other adapters that work. I think Best Buy sells one, and I've been told that Radio Shack sells one. But when you use this as an interface between the machine and a USB computer, then you can get this to work with Bernina's free ArtLink software. So you can open up designs on your computer and send them to the machine with the free Bernina ArtLink, and I believe they're at version 7 right now, V7 software. So that wraps this up. I just did this video in one take, so sorry for any mistakes or blunders in here, but you get the idea on how to check your version of your machine, the version of the module, and what tests to run the module through, and what you could possibly do as far as blowing out any dust or lint in these optical sensors to see if you can get your module to work should you have any problems. If you have any questions, comment below, and I will have my email address also posted below. I service and sell lightly used Berninas and sell them on eBay under the username bushvideo. And let me know how you liked the video. Thanks for watching.